So Hassan, the political streamer, is under attack right now because he bought an expensive house in a really expensive part of California to live in, and he's a socialist. Therefore, he cannot buy expensive things. I have a problem with what Hassan did with his housing situation, not because of any like weird morality thing. So there is one thing I want to add about the morality thing. I know a lot of people who are not rich who put a lot of work into making the world a better place. Hassan, although, and we are going to get to this later, Vaush's overall argument is that Hassan, his net utilitarian positive or whatever is so high, it doesn't matter if Hassan himself takes any personal sacrifices. But Hassan is lucky enough. He is lucky. He is very lucky. His impact is giving him the ability to be rich. He was given a position in media by his family to begin his career. He got lucky. He got freaking lucky, dude. And to ask somebody like him, who is rich off of talking about these issues, to use some of his money, or to expect him to use some of his money, to make a personal sacrifice to help the world, I don't think that is such a big ask. But like, I think it's generally dumb if you have a job where you can work from your house streaming and you're making millions of dollars based on your appearance and based on your persona as a socialist, anarchist, whatever. If you have the ability to make all that money from doing that, buying a house in a really expensive area makes zero sense to me. I know he has his like family in there, which is great, but dude, for how much was it? $2.7 million. For that much money, you can buy a couple acres and a huge house. I'm sorry if you heard my bottle crack in the background. I have a plastic bottle right here. You can buy a huge house somewhere else in our country, even in Texas. That's why all these streamers move to Texas because of lower housing costs and lower taxes. Like when you have that money, buy land, get some ownership of property so you can accumulate some form of like I don't know, land wealth. I just feel like you should do that. It's just so dumb to me. You don't need to live in LA to be with your celebrity. Like, I don't know what your like fellow streamer friends in LA. I just don't get it. That's my problem with it, dude. Anyway, I want to talk about Vaush's take here. I think his take is based on pragmatism and based on socialism being a movement of addition and not subtraction. And a lot of people who are socialist online and also people who want to critique Hassan don't really care about socialism growing. I'm not a socialist. I don't care. But I think Vaush's strategy is kind of the best way to go about it.
So recently, an instance of devastating hypocrisy hit the airwaves, rattling the socialist community to its core and throwing us into a pit of disarray and incongruity. And that would, of course, be the fact that Hassan Piker Abi bought a house. Now, don't get too excited. It's an expensive house. It is at 2.74 million. However, that is in West Hollywood dollars. And also, you have to live in Los Angeles to be in the house, which is, whew, okay? Hey, listen, if you want, I can sell you plots of land on Mercury, you know? I mean, hey, you can get, land is cheap out there. They're practically giving it away, all right?
Dude, it's just so dumb to me. It's so dumb to me. I'm sorry if people don't agree. I just think it's so dumb to buy a house in such an expensive area. You don't need to live there. You make money sitting in front of a freaking computer screen, dude. You steal content all day to make your money. Go buy a house somewhere else where you can just buy a bigger house and you can fit more of your family in there. Buy your family members' houses there. You'll still spend less money than when you buy a house in LA or whatever. Like, come on, dude. I just don't like it.
Anyway, he bought this house. Okay, it's a shiny house. It's very nice. It's certainly nicer than any house I've ever lived in. And some people are mad
What's
at him
up,
about
Tom?
this. Now, before I get into this, I want to make a couple of things clear because I'm in an unfortunate position where me expressing values I've held for years are going to get me accused of simping to Hassan to try to leech his audience. Which, to be clear, and I want to front this, yes, every time I mention Hassan on stream, I'm hoping his audience finds the video and subs to me and gives me money. To be totally clear, that is the case. But also, this is something that I've believed vocally the entire time I've been streaming. So this is just so to be clear, both of these things are true. Okay. So anyway, people got mad about this, okay? Like mad. And you know what they got mad about, right? I mean, you all know what they got mad about. I thought you hated the rich, but now your house is big. Why don't you live your principles and donate all of your money to charity?
Hey, if Hassan wants to live in the city. Don't do entire streams crying about the housing prices there. The people I care about with housing prices in LA are nurses that need to work in LA, are even friggin' cops, are city workers, sanitation workers, are doctors, are you know medical and people who are driving ambulances. If you're gonna be a firefighter. Those are the people who I care about being able to live in these cities. I don't want to hear, and this is just a personal thing. I don't care about the morality or whatever. Um, it's just a personal thing for me. Those are the people I care about. When it comes to your personality, you're crying about the LA housing prices all day on your streams. And then you have this persona of the socialist thing online. I just think it's a little bit unlikable. Like I think that one quality is a little bit unlikable. Overall, I do like Hassan. I like him. I like his role on the platforms here. I do like what he does. I think having him be on Twitch and be such a big streamer for progressive causes is an overall net positive. Um, but the thing is, this is just one aspect that I find unlikable and out of touch. It just it's a personal thing, I guess. I don't know. The numbers don't make sense to me. I just care more about the workers that need to live in the cities. I know another rich person would have bought that house, but I don't know. He's a whatever
Stuff like that, right?
socialist,
So on and so on.
anarchist.
And these are criticisms that should be really familiar
Yeah,
to
he
you
talks about the
because
housing
they're the same
prices in LA
criticisms
a
that
lot.
Bernie Sanders got. Remember, 3 houses, Bernie Sanders, millionaire Bernie Sanders.
Okay, Bernie Sanders being a millionaire owning 3 houses is different because if you're a millionaire and you're 78 years old, that is a world of difference. From being 20 something, or did he just turn 30? I don't know. But being in your 20s and being a multimillionaire, and not only being a multimillionaire, but being able to buy a multi-million-dollar house in a very expensive place to live. Those are two different things. Bernie Sanders was actively in politics his entire life. I think that's not really a good comparison. I mean, I guess, but oh my God, I don't know. I feel like Vaush make fun of Jimmy Dore for having a nice house? I feel like can someone remind me of that because I know it came out. People made fun of Jimmy Dore for talking like a radical working class hero from his studio while he lived in a 1 point whatever $1 million house in California. I feel like Vaush had a different standard for how he approached or like I feel like everybody had a different standard for how they approached Jimmy Dore buying an expensive house versus Hassan buying a different house. No matter what, I think it's funny. Like when you're a mod, Hassan's a model who wore anarchist shirts while being a model. It's just fun. Like I don't know. It is a good meme, I guess.
Bernie Sanders wants to make life better for every American. But I can't help but notice that the 500-year-old senator who sold a best-selling book has a lot of money. You know? Remember that time AOC was in a nice dress and it was like rented for a photo shoot in a magazine? Remember that? And like conservatives were like, curious, you want to tax people, but you're wearing an expensive dress. It's like, oh my God. Look, these criticisms come from 2 places, okay? From one place, they come from like bad faith liberals, okay? They're people who dislike socialists, but find our arguments unassailable and our appearances, just beyond reproach. So they come up with bad faith, vaguely gesturing at imagined hypocrisy arguments, because they just don't either because if you're running against them in a presidential election, then you have that angle, and if you just don't like them, you don't like them. Arguments from hypocrisy are always really, really weak by like default, unless the hypocrisy that you're underlining meaningfully destroys the concept that's being delivered. So let me give you an example, okay? If a person says, obesity is an epidemic and we should probably eat healthier, but they are themselves fat, does pointing out their fat really address the argument? Not really. I mean, you can if you want to be mean. I mean,
This is a loaded example that Vaush uses here because I feel like what if you're a bad person and you say other people should be good people? Vaush said if you're fat and you say people should not be fat or obesity is a bad thing, is that hypocritical or whatever because you still believe in a better world? But if you're a bad person and you think people should be good people and you're not living the values that you say should be I don't know, respected and adored, which is like working class, which is being very, you don't have to do like private charity, but being very charitable in general, like those types of things. I don't like the analogy he uses there because I think it falls apart pretty easily, to be honest.
it's a strategy, but it doesn't like address the argument, But let's say that you are talking with your significant other and you say, this house has been so messy. It's so messy around here. We should clean it up more, okay? So here's what we need to do, okay? You should clean up Monday through Sunday, and I'll clean up when I can. And now, the argument that you could make is that the hypocritical distribution of assigned work is undermining the validity of the argument, which is that they should both contribute to cleaning the house. Does that make sense? Maybe a little bit of an inarticulate argument, but the point is that hypocrisy doesn't always destroy an argument. In fact, it often doesn't. Sometimes it does, but it often doesn't. But the thing is, in this case, this isn't even hypocrisy.
Yeah, how sincere are they about what they advocate for? But Vaush's overall take here is gonna be, and he said this many times, he has said it many times, he wishes if you are a socialist, progressive, whatever content creator, and you talk about how important it is to empower workers and how important it is to help the weak, Vaush hopes that you're going to use that money in a very good way. But if you don't, he doesn't care, because Vaush wants his idea of a socialist movement to be very accepting of others and to be mainstream. So if you are a celebrity and you support what Vaush supports, he'd rather you do that and not actually help at all through like your own pockets than donate and not use your platform for advocating for the same issues. So to Vaush, Hasan just talking about these issues with his big platform and his normie appeal and his model status and his GTA plays, him talking about these issues with that platform is good enough to Vaush. He doesn't really care about the personal fulfillment because he's a consequentialist. That's what Vaush is, and he wants overall, he wants his movement to grow. And if you say, if you're a socialist, you must give money away to whatever, or you're not a good one, then you're going to be cutting people out of the equation that could have helped your movement overall.
I don't know how many times I have to repeat this, but socialists don't usually say stuff like, you can't own a home. It's immoral to own a home. If you have money, you should donate all of it. Certainly there are some people who say this. I don't think I've said this. Pretty sure Hasan hasn't said this either. Usually the argument socialists have is that
Nobody is saying you can't own a home and you have to donate all your money, but you want to see, like, don't you want to see an effort? Like, I feel like you just want to see an effort that's a little bit past what's another streamer, XQC or whatever, QXC, or wait, no, what's that one person's name? Something bigger than somebody who isn't a proclaimed political commentator or whatever. You want to do more,
we should tax
I guess.
people more. There should be wealth taxes and inheritance taxes and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And one thing about giving away charity, I actually agree with the idea that you shouldn't be forced or you shouldn't feel compelled to give to charity, because the systemic fixes, and I use this argument for Bernie Sanders' wealth, if I give away 80% of my money as let's say Hasan gives away 80% of his money because he's rich, so he gives away a couple $1,000,000. Putting a couple million extra dollars into the system without everybody paying in more and without the government changing holistically isn't gonna really help anybody. It's gonna be like pouring water into a bathtub that has holes in it, or like a bucket that has holes in it. It's not gonna fill anything up. It's not gonna help anybody. Unless if you fix the overall systemic problems we face. So I do agree he shouldn't be compelled, or he shouldn't feel that he needs to give away his money or that he needs to buy a cheaper house or a smaller house. He has his family in that house. That's great. But again, you just assume some people are going to give a little bit of an effort to the causes that they talk about so much. Because I know people who do spend a lot of their time working for these causes, who don't make a lot of money, who still find the time to be out there and volunteering and donating money and donating food and all this stuff. And they work and make $12 an hour. So I'm thinking, like, yeah, I don't know. It just feels weird, man.
And
wait, $3 million isn't... I don't care if $3 million isn't that much for a house in Cali. You could have bought a house somewhere else. I'm sorry. Like, I understand what you're saying. It's a bad price for a house, but he complains about it all the time, and he knows he can move somewhere else if he wanted to. He is choosing to do that. He's choosing to dump more money into a worse situation that is being driven up by high demand and low supply and a bunch of other factors. It's like with the housing market in California. He knows he's going into that situation. I don't like that argument because, like, dude, if you're a rich person from rural America and you go to a city, are you therefore no longer a rich person because you have to pay more for housing? You have to pay, like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't know.
As I understand it, to my knowledge, Hasan pays his taxes. So,
yes, people like Hasan, and I know it wouldn't matter because other people are just gonna stay there. But they should move so that more people who actually need to live in these areas can live in these areas. Like I said before, workers that need to work in these areas.
There's this debate, bro, obsession.
That's okay. I don't want to be all private property eccentric or whatever, but other movements know how to accumulate wealth in some sense, know how to buy land and own things. And I think that is still something that needs to be practiced. So when I see somebody who is an influential content creator, like Hassan, making bad financial decisions, in my opinion, bad financial decisions with his housing choices, that also annoys me. It doesn't matter. I'm not talking about morality. I'm just saying that annoys me. I'm sorry.
Taxes. So
Yes, I did say he should move, like every other streamer does that makes millions of dollars from their bedrooms. Yes, I don't know why this is a hot like. Come on, he's not a he's not a freaking emergency medical driver in Los Angeles that needs to be saving lives. He's a streamer. Yeah, he can move. Okay.
you know, there's this debate, bro, obsession in some communities with addressing hypocrisy.
I know no worker can. I know no. I know no worker can afford it. That isn't the point I'm making.
Over the actual underlying worth of what's happening. Because from a consequentialist perspective, Hassan's not really doing any harm in the world, but there are some people who are more obsessed with the idea of holding people to account.
I'm not talking consequentially like Vaush is. Like when I make my gripes, it's literally just a personal thing. I don't.
Like I'll give you an example.
I don't know.
A community of people who think that it's more acceptable for a person to eat meat if they don't believe animals have any moral worth than it is for a vegetarian to
Bro, I had the never mind.
eat
Never
eggs,
mind.
cheese, and
I'm
dairy.
not gonna do it.
If they do believe
Never
animals
mind.
have any moral worth. In that case, you actually value people's consistency above the actual harm they do, which is an insane perspective. But some people actually do, at least selectively, go by that kind of overriding logic, which is a great way to avoid actually criticizing somebody. So you have those people, and then you have lefties who are attacking.
Tom, don't compare me to the Shapiro argument when he said people should just move and sell their freaking houses when they flooded houses to Aquaman or whatever from H. Bomber guy. Don't even straw man me like that.
On over this, which to be fair, there are actually quite a lot of them. The left has always been a circular firing squad. And man, I've talked about these people before with like ContraPoints. You know how ContraPoints makes like a lot of money off Patreon? And there are people who actually get.
Yeah, I agree. Some people would criticize him if he went somewhere to pay lower taxes, if he tried to avoid taxes or property costs by going to, I don't know, Texas. I don't disagree with that. I'm just like I feel like Anthony Fantano. Do you know Anthony Fantano, the music critic? The music critic, he reviews a bunch of albums. He gave My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy a 6 out of 10. Might have heard of him. His caption of every video says, "Guys, this is literally just my opinion. I'm not making any statements about Hassan. I literally said I think he's a good guy. I think his overall effect is good. But it's it's just my opinion. It's not deeper than that. It's not really a deep thing that I'm talking about. It's just a preference."
Mad over it. They're like,
I've gone too far right, man. You've changed.
if you make that much money and you're a socialist, you should be doing something with it. And hey, you're right. Hassan should be doing something if he's a socialist with that much in the way of wealth. Thankfully, he's the largest socialist streamer, to my knowledge, on Earth. So he made his money from the advocacy. Imagine if you're a socialist and you write a book and it's a pro-socialism book and you sell that book and you get rich selling that book and people get mad at you and say that because you got rich selling that book that you're somehow a hypocrite. It's like you got rich from advocating for the thing people are accusing you of. Yeah, it's very, very silly. I mean, it's really, really, really silly stuff. There are, from the bad faith liberal end of things, the reason why this type of criticism is so consistent is because it's a really, really good way of delegitimizing.
I'm not saying Hassan should live in a poor area. You don't need to live in a poor area to live in an area that doesn't have terrible housing prices. You don't need to move to a poor area. Rural areas are not poor. Suburban areas are not poor. Mountainous areas are not poor. I'm saying he should be making he should be owning land if he's going to be paying that much money. I feel like I just think it's not a good I don't know, dude. I guess people don't value, I guess I value land ownership too much. I don't know. I just think that's a better thing than to bet on the housing market of LA or whatever. I'm not saying he should be moving to a poor area, like a literal poor area that's falling apart.
And hamstringing socialists without actually addressing their arguments. You delegitimize them by getting people to believe they're a hypocrite, which they're not. I mean, Bernie Sanders wasn't for owning 3 houses, but they got a lot of people believing that. And additionally, the implicit argument is that the only moral way to be a socialist is to be
No,
disempowered.
I'm saying, okay, if you spent $3 million, if you spend $3 million in a rural area, you're gonna get a couple acres of land plus a huge house, 3 times the size of the one that he bought. If you buy a house in an area that isn't as dense with the population, I just think that's a better thing to do with your money at that point. But what does somebody say about? No, renting it out. I don't want him to become a landlord. That's not what I'm saying. I think cops and nurses need the $1 million home. Yes. Yes, Tom. That's exactly what I said. I'm not talking about priorities or anything because Hassan does full streams complaining about his housing search.
Which, no, I want everyone to be a socialist. And as long as we live in a world with millionaires,
I don't care about the physical land. I don't care. Never mind.
billionaires, mansions, cops and soldiers, politicians, and hedge fund managers.
I get it that he likes Cali. Yes, he likes Cali. People like diamonds. I don't think either are good things to buy.
I want everyone to be a socialist, okay? Everyone, from every point, bottom to top. And I do not want people to be socialists.
Yeah, he should maximize the money he's spending in general. You make a lot of money talking about these causes. I don't know, just to be maximizing your money, like in this current system.
And then think, oh, well, now I can't be successful because if I do, the circular firing squad on the left is going to tear
It's
me
just
apart.
like it's like imagine you're making all this money and you spend time in your job where you play GTA role plays and talk about socialism, and you're like, guys, the housing market in LA is so messed up, bro. I'm having so many problems. Like, dude, yes, we understand you're having problems in your $1 million house search, and you're telling your chat a bunch of unproven stuff about why you couldn't get the houses you wanted. Like, my priorities are not with that, and your priority shouldn't be either. Like, when it comes to that, spend your money on the empty void. Why Detroit? Are you just saying Detroit because you assume because it's a poor area? I don't mean poor. I just mean cheaper.
No. Contra talked about this in Envy. This is a horribly counterproductive way to go about things. Can you imagine if people disregarded Marx because he hypocritically accepted the help of Engels, a factory owner? Can you imagine? Like, seriously, he was a factory owner. And by the way, Hassan makes his money streaming and YouTubing. Okay, this is like the least exploitative way of making money. Seriously, in terms of like wealth accrued relative to employees strangled, this is a relatively high ratio of moral profitability compared to Engels, the factory owner.
Trees. You're right. It does not have to align with my values. It's literally just an opinion. All this is an opinion. I'm not talking about anything deeper than that. Than my preferences. I'm not talking about morality. I'm not talking about right versus wrong. I'm talking about what do we prefer. What do I prefer? It's not that deep.
Das Kapital? No, this was funded with bourgeois money. Like, come on, Jesus. Just I tell you, there are people who say like, I wish there was one leftist billionaire to fund leftist projects. I say that, by the way. But when a lot of people say that, no, you don't. Because if there was a leftist billionaire, all you would do is shit talk them. All you would do is shit talk them.
Hey, all I'm saying is we really let Tom Steyer down. Tom Steyer was our hero.
All you haven't donated.
He was a class traitor ready to save us, and we did not help him. We should be ashamed of ourselves. Tom Steyer was waiting for us to come. Oh my. I wonder what he's doing right now.
Every cent, you live in a big house. Like, they would never do it. Yeah, like Sake Tanuki, the bane of the broader online socialist community's existence. They would tear this person limb from limb, and we would never get anything done. Okay, hold on, real quick. I can see it in chat. I'm not attacking Hassan for having money, but I mean, it's a $3 million house. Does it really have to be a $3 million house? No, but he wanted one. I don't care. At some point,
that's fine. Nobody wanted one. I don't care. I do care. Vaush doesn't care. I just think it's dumb.
It's fucked up to spend so much money on something like this. No.
Hypocritical? Is he hypocritical? I'm not saying he's hypocrite. I think pragmatically, you should be okay with Hassan buying a big house. Because you should be accepting of anybody to join your movement. Because movements need to be about addition, not subtraction. But in my ideal world, Hassan would have not spent all this money on such a small house. Not a small house. But he could have, Kanye West, he has like acres. He has many acres of land in like Wyoming in the mountains. All right. I just personally take issue with that. And I don't like his focus on it during streams and the priority of all the discourse. And I'm just talking about this for views, obviously. But like the housing issues that a socialist content creator should be complaining about I just don't personally want to hear them complaining about their $1 million house search. If I want to hear somebody cry about housing prices for a couple $1 million, I will go on TV, a box TV, a really old box TV. I will get a VHS tape rerun package of HG. I can't even talk. It's not HD. It's a while ago. HGTV, House Hunters. I will watch House Hunters. I will just binge watch House Hunters my entire life if I wanted that.
No, I don't agree. Spending lots of money on houses to live in is not the backbone of the exploitation of the capitalist economy. You're individualizing and personalizing the problems with capitalism. The problems with capitalism aren't the fact that wealthy people exist or that there are large houses and realtors who sell them. Those things aren't the
Yeah, I agree with
metric that makes the
Vaush
system
mostly.
exploitative. It's a horrible, bastardized, incestuous relationship between all the intertwined systems of political and economic power that guarantee more political power to the wealthy, and then reify and reinforce systems that privilege the wealthy and allow them to accrue further wealth at the expense of the rest of the people. But that has nothing to do with whether or not a person who's already wealthy buys a big house. That's just, they're not, these just aren't connected in my mind, you know? Or if you want to do a trade-off, $3 million house, but also Hasan reaches millions of people every week with socialist messaging. I don't know. I mean, you can do the math on that if you want, but that seems like a favorable trade to me. Now, that's not to say that it's not good for people to be as benevolent and generous and philanthropic with their money as possible. But I don't think that it's...
Eat the rich. That's one thing. Oh, that's a point. That's a point I missed earlier. Validated, classified. Thank you for bringing it up. Yes, Tom, you are correct. Socialists need to be living on the streets to be real socialists. The rhetoric he uses during his chats, and you know what a lot of people use, and this happened with Bernie too. Bernie did stop saying millionaires and billionaires. He switched it to only billionaires. He did do that. He did stop saying millionaires in his criticisms of the rich. That didn't not happen. When people attacked him for it, that is something that happened in reality. Uncle Jank. True. But yeah, when you talk like eat the rich, it should be more more focused, you know? Because a lot of it is disdain for people who have more. And I don't know. Is it eat the rich or eat the bad boys that exploit workers or whatever?
That's a hypocritical argument. Like, everyone should be that way, not socialists especially. Like, if you hold...
Oh, I don't mean to be a DGGer. I hate DGG, but Destiny made a video. Actually, I don't think he ever released it, but there's a Destiny video where he goes through Hasan's entire housing market thing and goes through all the sources, and Destiny disproves all the points Hasan made because Hasan was making points to fit his like narrative on what was happening in California. So that was like I hate to use that because I hate DG. Oh, I hate them so much. But
socialists in power, to a standard which is different, there will be people who don't
Eat
meet
the
that
right.
standard who will be disinclined from being invested in socialist arguments because they know that even though
Hasan
their
will still
behavior
get
hasn't
racially
changed, the way they're
profiled by
judged
the
will
cops in
be. Even if
Hollywood.
their behavior improves, the way they're treated will go
I don't
down.
know. I don't know if he would. He does he? He dresses like he looks like a famous person. If I saw him walking through Hollywood and I didn't know who he was, I would just assume he's a famous actor or something.
Which to me just seems highly counterproductive. My recommendation
Yeah, I
on
am
this is
butthurt about DGG. They're a bunch of idiots, sycophants. They are weak. They are baby.
exactly the same as it has always been. If you want to encourage left-leaning, powerful people to do good stuff with their money, do so. But do not do so in this bitter,
Yeah,
half-assed,
addition,
facile
not
attempt at accusing them of
subtraction.
hypocrisy.
Vaush is
Just be,
correct
like,
here.
reasonable about it. Hey, I think it'd
Overall,
be nice if we did more
we
charity. I think
agree.
it'd be nice if we did this. I think it'd be nice if we did that. Just be reasonable about it.
DGG
but it's
loves
so
you.
obvious how
If
spite-driven
you
a lot
watch me and you're from DGG, you're okay because obviously you're cool. But you know,
of this behavior is. Because it's not a consistent... Hasan's income has been a consistent thing. You all knew he made millions a year, right? You can do the math on how many subs he gets. It's not like a hidden thing. He was always rich. I mean, it was known. But now the hate comes? Like, this is clearly not, like, a matter of holding people to a consistent standard of behavior, and more so a matter of, I don't like
Tripping.
opulence in the hands of people on the left. And I just don't think that's a good argument. I want to be really clear so everyone knows, okay?
Okay, let me
While
hear-
I am nowhere near as wealthy as Hasan is, okay? If I was, yeah, I would probably buy a nice big house too, because it would be shiny, and I would want it. And you can complain about that all
Let's
you
hear
want.
what
but
else
your
he
complaints
wants to say.
should probably be leveled not at hypocrisy, but rather at sort of the general enemy and inequality of our society. Because at no point over the course of my stream have I said it's immoral.
See, okay, where this leads, it kind of puts a weird taste in my mouth. So, socialist content creator, whether it be like Vaush or Hasan, so they talk about how inequality in society is bad. But, if they get rich, I don't know. I guess they're gonna buy a really big mansion just because they want to. We couldn't fix capitalism, boys. We couldn't fix it. Sorry, I guess I'm buying the Bezos mansion. I just gotta do it. I just want it. I'm just fulfilling my potential in capitalism. Like, come on, dude. Don't judge me. Like, I understand my entire career is built off of talking about these issues, but we didn't fix them holistically. So why individually should I take any personal sacrifices to live up to my own values? I just don't like that. I don't like the way that logically follows. So every socialist that makes a lot of money can now, without having anything on their conscience, they could be like, all right, laying down the dollar bills. I want that diamond necklace. I want the Yeezys. I want the iPhone 500 Pro. I want the Apple Watch Diamond Gold Edition. I want the Gucci hat, the Gucci flip-flops. I want all of this. I don't care if it functions as an individual thing. If individuals change, if I individually stopped, if I individually started today, started littering by myself, if I started throwing plastic bottles in the ocean and in the woods, if I started throwing styrofoam cups, styrofoam, I can't talk right now, styrofoam cups, if I started just polluting the entire world by myself, me individually, I have a little impact. I have a small impact. But is it moral for me to say whatever? Big companies are going to keep on polluting at a larger scale. Therefore, if I do it, it doesn't really matter because whatever, I'm not going to fix the overall system of pollution. So now it's okay if I pollute. It's okay if I throw bottles in in wherever. Like I just don't know if that follows. If that makes sense. I can just do whatever I want to the earth because companies are going to be doing it anyway. And I'm not going to fix capitalism. I'm not going to be able to fix the current system by not polluting. Therefore, whatever, I'm just going to pollute because I want to. Because I want to.
For rich people to buy big houses. It is immoral to buy big McMansions. That is immoral. Those gigantic empty houses that look like showrooms that you can buy up in northern Texas for like $1.5 million that are roughly the size of like a Walmart parking lot. That is immoral. But this is a West Hollywood house, so that's probably not necessarily an issue here. That is morally wrong. To be clear, those houses suck. Oh yeah, I've been inside one once, and oh my, it really does feel like you're in a showroom or like a car, like like the car display rooms in the nice like car dealerships. What makes it immoral? Because they're gross. Just we're not getting into this right now. We're trying to be pointed with this. Do you not think class interests interfere with socialism?
There's that one picture of him with all the fancy necklaces on, and he has a shirt that says anarchism on it. That was kind of funny.
Politics? They can, but if that's the case, criticize the way it interferes with socialist politics. Now, here's something that you could criticize. Let me give you like an in. If you want to criticize Hasan for hypocrisy, here's what you should do, or any person on the left, okay? Let's say that you have a small streamer who says, yeah, tax the rich, cancel inheritance, capital gains tax, and all that, And then that's what they believe, and they get to be a quite large streamer. And then they kind of soften up on all those positions, Oh, we don't really need like that much higher taxes. Oh, real estate taxes are fine where they are, really. Or actually, in the neighborhood where I'm in, they're kind of, now that I think about it, I don't really think that this is reasonable tax. Right? Like when behavior like that begins, please criticize them for that, okay? That is valid criticism, but that's not because they're being rich. That's because their values have been corroded by their material interests, okay? Now, to my knowledge, what Hasan's doing here doesn't really conflict with anything that he said on stream, except for maybe like a bad faith misinterpretation of statements that he's made, like, ha, fuck the rich, but then he's rich, and it's like, ha, now you're rich. Like, okay, sure, congratulations. I've said fuck white people. I'm white. I mean, what are you gonna do? Hasan has literally said he should be taxed more. Yeah, and I should be taxed more. By the way, I should be taxed more. He should be taxed more. We should both be taxed more. Please, we should both be taxed more. Absolutely. However, if I am to be taxed more, I would like it to be through income tax and not through the god-awful, what is it, FICA tax? What is it called? The self-employment tax that the employer pays 7.5% of, but if you're independent, you pay the whole 15%. That thing sucks, okay? Pay me, do it more through income tax. Pump that up, okay? Don't, yeah, appropriately.
I want to hear somebody rebut my example with pollution, individual pollution. If I throw a bunch of plastic in the ocean, it doesn't matter because big companies are going to dump oil, millions of gallons of oil in the ocean. So why does it matter if I throw water bottles in there if I want to? Because I'm not going to be, I'm not really hurting the environmentalist cause by individually throwing that bottle in the ocean because the entire system isn't going to change with pollution and waste. But as an environmentalist, it's okay if I throw a bottle in there because I can't change it. So if it's more convenient for me because I want to just conform, like, I don't know, I just don't
distribute the relationship between these different tax brackets. Increase capital gains tax. You know why? I don't have any stock. Do that, okay? I don't have any stock, so just pump up the capital gains tax.
I don't know. You know what? I'm done with this. A lot of hot takes. Many things people will disagree with, but I'm gonna put this on my channel. Hopefully, nobody unsubscribes. Um, because it's just my opinion, and I don't know. It's rough out here, dude. Good thing I'm not like a full-time streamer, so I could make all these hot takes about these big people. Because I do lose subscribers for all this stuff. I feel like people hold back from like those hot takes. Maybe, but dude, I even said I hate DGG in this. I made points attacking Vaush, Hassan, and DGG. No audience is out there that's gonna like what I said. Like, come on, dude. And Jimmy Dore? Oh my god. Firing shots at everybody tonight.